everybody, it's Alexa. Would you like to know one of the great secrets to making a habit? Well, I want to both review RunBet and then segue into what I've learned from both RunBet and a book I read called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and even maybe a little bit into my experience doing this 365-day challenge, which I'm 22 days in, so we got a long ways to go. So let's start with RunBet. So I started using RunBet around October of last year, September, October, and I love it. I highly recommend it. I also did step bet for a while. This is such a great concept. So far, it's working quite well. I have made, I want to say around $100 maybe in terms of, so I've been paid to run. So I will warn you, other people are paying you to run, because what it is you're betting a small amount, like $40, and you are signing up to do a certain amount of runs at a given pace for, it can be 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And there's different challenges for different abilities. The first couple of run bets that I did, I was running by time, which was actually new for me. And that was great. And it got me running in my neighborhood, which is something that I have not done my whole life. My whole life, I wanted to get in a car and drive to a park or the beach or someplace other than my neighborhood and go run. As a result of RunBet, because I couldn't miss the runs, I started to have to run in my neighborhood. Now, as I continued to win, I started to sort of upgrade, and I recently completed a run bet that was, the first run bets I was doing were 18 minutes a mile, and they were by time, and sometimes it could be as little as 2 times a week up to 5 times a week. They'll give you the number of minutes that you're supposed to run, usually 15, 20, up to 45 minutes. Well, then I upgraded to a run bet that was by distance and with a minimum pace of 15 minutes a mile. So, because 18 minutes a mile, you can actually walk, and you could speed walk and still make it. 15 minutes a mile, you can still walk in a few spots, but you do need to be running most of the time. The cons are you can definitely lose your $40. Your winnings are in the form of points. You can cash those out, or you can roll them into another game. If you cash them out, they go into your PayPal account, and then you drop them into your bank. You can see as the weeks progress, there's a leaderboard. I found myself on a number of occasions competing on the leaderboard, because the leaderboard is by how many miles you've run. Now, some people on this leaderboard have just run tremendous distances, crazy distances. But on one particular bet, I started off sort of accidentally running very long, and so as a result I was way ahead of everybody, and this is all in my head, and that brings me to another point that I really love about it, is there's a little bit of a social media aspect, but it's just the right amount of social. And so I think that's so, it's so limited. So there's a tiny little thumbnail that's your face, and you can't go down the rabbit hole. You can't click on somebody else's face and go, boom, explode them out, and then go into their profile and spend 45 minutes understanding their preferences. Nope, none of that's going to happen. It's just a little tiny face you really can't, or any picture that you want, so you really can't identify anything about the person. But then people do comment, and people will ask questions, and you can give a thumbs up to somebody's comment. People do post selfies sometimes where, and so it's neat because people are all around the world. And so, somebody's in a snow-ridden place, and it's really inspiring to think they're running out there, and here I am complaining about a light drizzle. And then the final aspect that I would mention about RunBet, there are referees that are hired by the company. And so when my phone was stolen, and I was in the middle of both a RunBet and a step bet game, which is a walking game, I was able to email them and say, look, my phone's been stolen. Can I get my money back? And so they refunded me those $40 for each game. So that's $80 in the form of chips, which is smart on their part. And then I was able to roll those into future games once I had a new phone. And that brings me to the point, I use my phone to track, but you can use a couple different devices. You can use a smart watch if you have the right kind of watch, or Garmin, I think. What I have discovered is it blew my mind how well it worked. Blew my mind. I was like, I've never seen my brain get hacked this way. So then I was like, okay, what's the mechanism? Well, clearly there's a couple. First of all, apparently I don't like to lose money. Second of all, the competitive angle of being in first place, although that only happened once. And the other games subsequently after that one experience, I was in games where people were running super long, like 10 miles each run, or 15 miles each run, or even there was somebody impossibly, I thought, can this even be true, that they were running like 20 miles each run? So wasn't going to compete with that. The thing that's definitely hijacking my brain, that's definitely giving me some sort of dopamine reward center thing, is the don't break the chain. And one thing that's nice about RunBet, as opposed to step bet, which is daily, which I found a little bit more stressful to walk a certain number of steps per day. It's kind of nice. You don't break the chain of the weeks. Man, that's just really effective for me. And so apparently that's some sort of external, it's the accountability and it's the don't break the chain. Now, negative side, as soon as I win a RunBet, as soon as it's over, for the most part, I immediately go back. So apparently externalizing that motivation and accountability really works for me. But then it's like, how do I make that internal? I do know in general that in certain cases, if I've made a promise or sort of a challenge, or I'm on a deadline, a writing deadline, that especially that somebody else has given me, I am very accountable. I will do that. I will meet the deadline. So that's how I work particularly. Now, you can see with RunBet too, you can see how people fall off. Right away they fall off. And, it's almost like an insight about life. You realize, wow, some of us are going to get to the finish line and some of us are going to fall off in the first week, and knock on wood. I mean, anything could happen to any of us at any moment. You twist your ankle or an asteroid hits Earth. So there's no hubris here about saying I'm so great. But it is fun to sort of challenge yourself to not break the chain, challenge yourself to, not be a loser. Sorry, that's how I think. And, it's really working. Okay, so that leads me to a book that I read at the beginning of this year called Atomic Habits. I always like to read something right around the beginning of the year about self-help or life hacking, or, and the Marie Kondo book was something that I read right around the beginning of the year. A lot of times I'll search desperately on lifehacker.com for something. Derek Sivers also has usually a wonderful list of books, and he keeps very good notes on the books as well. So you don't always have to even buy the books, but he had made some great notes about atomic habits. The basic thing is atomic habits is make a habit that is so small that you cannot help but do it. Now, there's a bunch of other things like the accountability. In fact, I should go back and review it since I'm seeing with RunBet how effective this is. But make a habit that's small, that make it easier to do your habit than to not do it. And there's a bunch of other things, triggers and things like that. So obviously in the case of RunBet, with the phone and everything, it's like those triggers are helping, and that accountability is helping as well. So that brings me to my last point, which is 365-day piano challenge. And this idea really just came to me. I didn't see anybody else was doing this. I just sort of thought, what do I want to do? Where do I want to be a year from now with piano? And, I was like, I have goals and let's just do this. I wanted to do something to know that I was progressing. And what I like about this is that at first I was like, okay, play piano every day. Well, so sometimes I'm traveling and I don't have a piano. And it's like, well, what can I do where I can't break the chain? But then I realized a video, I can definitely attempt to not break the chain with a video, because if I am traveling, I can preload videos. And actually I haven't, right now you're pretty much seeing real time. It's been every day, just real time. At the end of the day, actually very close to the deadline, I've been uploading the videos. And as you'll notice, I'm making them very short. It's just my phone, not setting up an additional mic. I'm just capturing my hands, not capturing my face most of the time. Because again, I don't want to bring in a bunch of other factors like, do I look horrible in this video? Actually, one of the videos I did have, I noticed later, hopefully it wasn't visible, but I had I'd been cooking all day and I had a bunch of food stains on the front of my shirt, but I think it was too dark, so you couldn't see that. What I'm learning from doing this process is already 22 days in. 22 days! That's amazing. Actually, I think this is the 23rd day. That's amazing. So do they say 3 weeks, 21 days to make a habit, or do they say 30? I don't know. I'm noticing changes. Okay, so I'm noticing a desire to play the piano more. I'm noticing so many excuses are gone because, again, the way I sort of bounded this habit, So a lot of times I would want to record something, but it's like my piano hasn't been tuned. People will hear that and they will judge me because my piano hasn't been tuned. How could I possibly upload a video if my piano hasn't been tuned? Got rid of that. I can see how my hands are working. Recording yourself is so critical to improve as a musician, but I hate to do it and I hate to listen to myself. And so this is just forcing me to do that and get over that, you know. Another thing that I've said often, and I wrote a book about practicing a couple of years ago, and it actually continues to do quite well. It's called Practice Secrets of the Pros. It's on Amazon. It's an ebook. One of the things that I notice is, you know, it's like with gigging. If you don't gig often, you do one gig or one recital or whatever, and it's like a nightmare. It's so, you know, so much tension, so much, everything is so fraught. If you do it all the time, you know, there's good ones and there's bad ones. It's like life. You have a good day, you have a bad day. You have a good meeting, you have a bad meeting, you have a good gig, bad gig. That's just how it goes. And not everything can be a peak experience. And so that's, again, where I like this is like, I'm posting every day, and yeah, not everything's going to be a peak experience. I mean, certainly nothing has been a peak experience, but it's getting rid of those barriers to trying to do anything. Because again, trying for perfection is just, or fear of judgment are two things that will just really hamper your progress. So I'm also feeling sort of enjoyment around piano playing and a little bit of relaxation, which is not something that I would typically feel. And you have to understand, I've been playing piano since I was like 5 years old. It's also forcing me to look at all the repertoire, you know, well, okay, what can I play? Bottom line, hopefully at the end of this year, hopefully I'm going to be a better player. I don't want to put too much weight on it, I guess, right now, but you know, a nice amount of time to practice in a day is anywhere from, let's say, 30 minutes to like 3 hours. And I'm actually don't know how much I'm practicing. And actually that's nice. I like that because there have been years when I spent a lot of effort to practice a certain number of hours. And right now I actually don't know how much I'm practicing, but I suspect it's actually more than I think. But again, that shouldn't be really your goal. You know, that's like running. Your goal with running should be sort of don't break the chain. It shouldn't be run every day 20 miles. I've gone on for a long time. Hopefully this is helpful. I really am enjoying this, and you know, I like the idea of just a tiny accountable habit, and hopefully I can build something great with it, but not going to put that pressure on it. So with RunBet, now have a starter game that's free. So you might want to try that and see if you're, because I don't want to tell you, go join RunBet and you turn out to be one of the, I mean, on the one hand, I might benefit, right? Because you might pay me to run, but I don't want you to go out and lose $40, like boom, right out the gate. But if you think it's the kind of thing that you would like to do, I can really recommend it. And I've, from the comments, I've seen people saying they've been using it all year to train for races and all kinds of things. So it's just great. It's sort of like this invisible team of accountability partners, and I really like that. So let me know if there's a don't break the chain or habit creation method that you've used, and let's learn from each other. Thanks for watching. Bye.